I am suing my ex-fiancé, Sunil, in breach of a verbal contract. We had decided to follow a traditional custom, which is arranged marriage. We met through our parents last November. I had been dating in LA and wasn't very successful, so since I was coming of age, I'm 35 years old, it was customary for our parents to get involved.
Oh, damn. 35 in LA. Yes. You would think, my friends, being middle-aged, dating in LA as a single woman, you would be humble and realize that your choices are literally slim to none amongst the plethora of absolutely drop-dead gorgeous women. LA, my friends, that you think that this woman would humble herself and realize, I better get my shit together. No, she is choosing to sue the man that she was going to marry. Oh boy. This one is more for entertainment purposes, but there are some valuable lessons to learn from this one, my friends. So let's get into it. Let's go inside the courtroom and listen to what transpired in this particular case. I'm going to leave the reason why she's suing him a mystery until we get into it. All right? Subscribe, my friends. Like this video on the way in, please. And of course, book a session if you have any issues at all that you would like me to help you with. The older man is here for you, my friends. And of course, pick up my Content Creators Toolkit. Yes, check out the Digital Vault, my friends, where you will find over 8,500 pieces of content that's already made for you that you can easily post. You literally don't have to spend any time creating nothing at all. They're all templates just sitting there waiting for you, my friend. You get PLR, which is private label rights, and MMR, master resellers rights, meaning you can literally put your name on the ebooks and the templates that are there and sell them yourself because you have master reseller rights. Yes, I'm giving you a complete digital business that you literally can just execute on your own right now and do exactly what I'm doing, selling digital products. Okay? This will be literally the cheapest investment you'll ever make to create a business that could pay you thousands, hundreds of thousands. So pick that up, my friend. I can assure you, you won't regret it. So with that said, let's get back into this case.
For our parents to get involved and introduce us through.
How does that work in the Indian culture?
It's typically done through a network of friends and family, and it's usually through someone that is knowledgeable about the other person's family.
What if you don't like each other? What do? You still have to marry each other?
No, you don't have to marry each other. In fact, that's why Sunil and I spoke for a long time. We wanted to make sure there was chemistry and a connection and a bond, which we built.
Mr. Varner, how did you know, or how did your parents know Ms. Joshi's family?
Well, there's a wide-knit community among the Indians in Dallas, Texas, where we're from, and mutual friends recommend people, and so we had our first initial meeting over Zoom.
How long did you guys date?
6 months.
6 months. Okay. All right. So 6 months of Zoom.
So 6 months of Zoom. Actually, even within a few weeks, we kind of knew that we wanted to take it to the next step, and the next step being getting engaged.
Is that true, Mr. Varner?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So I was surprised, actually, that he had already been in contact with my family, and he had seen my Pinterest board, so he had an idea of what I liked from a ring perspective, and he had the ring shipped to my home, and my parents were involved. And one day when we were Zooming, he happened to share, I know it sounds absurd, Your Honor, but it was a PowerPoint presentation of a really sweet, picture of our future. And kind of from there, my parents came into the room with flowers and the ring he had already purchased and presented it to me.
Very romantic, Mr.
I really cared for her.
Very romantic. Okay, and you said yes. obviously.
Yes, I was more than excited and ecstatic, and I wanted to get married.
So, Mr. Varna, you had the same reaction towards Ms. Joshi? I mean, I know it's hard for you to talk about because I know your fiancé's here, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Gupta.
Yes.
So, but was it you had the same reaction to Ms. Joshi?
Well, Your Honor, I come from a conservative family. So we aren't really allowed to date very much in my family, but anybody who I was going to pursue a serious relationship, maybe even marriage with, had to be vetted by my parents. And so there were a few criteria that the person that I was going to end up being with had to meet. And I've been with a few people, but the person that I was going to end up marrying had to be Ivy League educated and beautiful and somebody that we'd get along with in terms of our families.
Those were your...
Those were my family's stipulations and stuff that I agreed with as well.
Okay.
You know, this is so different from the Western way of dating. Even though I agree that, you know, the bride and the groom should be vetted by the parents. One thing that the Indian community love, and this is also prominent in Asian communities as well, is the education of the wife. And it's bizarre because they want wives that are highly educated, but yet they want them to be traditional. They still want that wife to be able to get home and take care of the kids and all of that other good stuff. The extremely wealthy ones, of course, if the wives are doctors or engineers, etc., they should have a nanny and, you know, help in the home. But in essence, these parents still demand that she's traditional in a lot of respects, but she has to be highly educated. And when I was in Saudi Arabia, I found this whole thing bizarre because in Saudi, it's very traditional. They demanded that women get educated. So there were a lot of, and of course the government supported this and they gave education, free education to a lot of the girls. So a lot of these girls had masters, even doctorates degree. But the second they get married, they had to stay home and be housewives. So you just had a lot of these highly educated housewives. Because after you got married, they want you pumping out a lot of babies. It's not unusual to have, 4 or 5 kids to be known as a good wife. And I just found this bizarre. The thing is, I was there as the country was becoming more modernized, whereas I could actually talk to these girls directly. The Shayla and, the face covering, they couldn't talk to me without their face being covered. But I got to get into the minds of some of these women, especially the young girls, because they were working next door, segregated. My wife managed that group, and I managed the other group on the other side in the real estate company that I had set up over there. And so every once in a while, we opened the door, and the girls would come through to my office, and we'd have discussions because I'm fascinated by the culture. And so I always ask the girls, do you want to be a housewife or do you want to work? And of course, a lot of them were so confused because they wanted the education, but they also had the deep desire to get married. And I always just found this bizarre. And I said, well, which one's more important? Well, I want to be a wife. I want to have kids. I want to have a nice husband. But I'm already engaged to my cousin or a family member or a real remote family member. Because still in Saudi, the idea of marrying your cousins was a huge deal. Keeping the money within the family unit was a very important thing. First, second cousin, they married their cousins. So a lot of these girls were already assigned husbands, even though it hadn't happened. A lot of them were living in this unusual world where they were going to become highly educated stay-at-home moms. Yeah, don't make a lot of sense. Don't ask for that to make sense. It's when the modern world and tradition meets, and both are playing tug of war.
To really go along
so
with
then
it.
What happened then?
So after we got engaged and we had this beautiful conversation, obviously everything is done on Zoom. A few days later, Sunil spoke to me again on Zoom and had something very important to tell me. And he took off his shirt and showed me the names of some of his previous relationships, 2 of which, and by the way, I have evidence on this, Your Honor, so may I present this?
Thank you.
As you can see, they're pretty prominent on his body, on his back, as well as the front. And
tattoos. You have tattoos. Okay, tattoos. All right. So do your parents know you have tattoos?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And they're okay with it, even though they're super conservative?
Well, that's part of the story, actually. It was something that I did for myself.
Okay.
Because, as I mentioned, we're very conservative. And I've been with 7 women prior to Nirali. And I decided to...
Your parents didn't know?
They didn't know. And I decided to honor each relationship by getting them tattooed on my own body. That was my own little secret. It was my way of celebrating each relationship because everybody meant something to me.
You are a lover, not a hater, right?
I'm a very passionate person, yes.
Dude. What is wrong with you, man? If you don't end up marrying the woman, it's just hit it and leave it. You don't get passionate and put a freaking permanent mark of a woman that will probably get beaten down and plowed out by 15, 20, 30 other men after you. Why would you do that? I don't get that at all, man. Woo. That is some weird shit. I've never heard of that before. I've heard of people tattooing, the name of their baby daddy or, the mother of their kids. But somebody that you just stuck your dick in today's environment, brother, no. Wow. Let me know what you guys think, man. Have any of you done that? I want to know. Admit it in the comment section. Come on, let me know.
So you saw this, Ms. Joshi, and you didn't like the tattoos, or what was your reaction?
I was horrified, to be honest. I felt like we had built a bond, and then to see that sort of compared to the women that were on his body, I felt a little bit taken aback. And
did it bother you that he had tattoos, or did he bother you they had the name of the women he had been with on his body?
The names.
What was it?
It was a little bit of both.
Was tattoo one of your things that you couldn't have for a mate?
I wouldn't have minded a butterfly or something like that, but this was...
Which friggin' man is going to put a damn butterfly on his body? Listen, man. I always like to reverse situations whenever I have to think about something from a moral perspective. Even though I know males and females work differently and our brains work differently. Imagine if your fiance, you discovered that she had the men that she'd been with tattooed on her back. Even if it was 7, just men's names just tattooed on her back. How would you feel? I would say, hell no. I don't want to be freaking looking at it every time I'm doing a back shot. I got to read their names. Nope. So I get it. Unless this man is some serious multi-millionaire, I would be a little perturbed as well. So I think she has every right to be perturbed. Even though she should never be behind him in any act whatsoever. Whenever he's in the house and he has his shirt off and he walks away from her, she shouldn't have to be reminded about all the other women that he's been with. So I get it, man. This was a bad move, brother. Gentlemen, do not ever tattoo another woman's name on your body. Never. Unless it's your mother or your kids.
A little too...
So it was the fact that it was women that he had been with prior that bothered you?
Yeah, I think if I was going to be intimate with my future husband, I didn't want a constant reminder of all the women he had been with. If this is
so that was your condition?
Your Honor, I even though I can see that she expressed discomfort with the tattoos, I was okay with removing them because...
Really?
Because she meant a lot to me. She meant a lot to me, and I felt like I found somebody special, and I wanted to pursue the relationship.
Wow, okay, so you agreed to remove them?
I agreed to remove them.
I mean, that takes time.
That's exactly
and these are
right.
little tattoos, and it's painful.
That's exactly right. I had to endure
and
over 4
expensive.
sessions. A lot. It's much harder to remove a tattoo than to get one.
Oh my God, that's going to take forever.
But the idea of having a happy life with her was helpful.
So you were willing to give up your tattoos?
That's right.
Because he knew he screwed up. I don't know what the hell he was thinking. Boss, you must have been drunk or on drugs to get that done. I don't know, man. Still blowing my mind.
And I would have done the same, Your Honor.
Did she give you a certain amount of time where you had to take them off?
Well, before the wedding, we had to get it done, yes.
How much time did you have?
I had about 4 months.
That's not enough time. How many tattoos did you have?
I had
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tattoos.
7 tattoos, yes.
I don't know if that, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I don't know if that's medically
It
recommended.
cost a lot of money. It was 4 sessions to remove 5 tattoos that I was able to remove. And
could you have not waited? I mean, done one at a time, and then after the marriage, done a couple of the other ones?
I just looked for a solution. I just wanted to find.
But
what
you didn't. You just said, "I'll try to get them all off," right?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
But her understanding was that I was going to get them all done by the.
I mean,
wedding.
you're an Ivy League educated woman. You understand that could be a little difficult.
I understand it's a process, but
you wanted it, and that's it. That's what you wanted.
Well, I was open-minded to the fact that it was a process and it was going to take time. However,
more than 4 months.
When I finally met him in person, that was actually a violation of our trust because...
A violation of my trust? What do you mean?
Because when I saw him, so what had happened was I went to his aunt's house. We typically have a Sangeet, which is a celebration, a night of singing and dancing, 2 days before the wedding. And I went to his aunt's house, which is where he was in LA. The wedding was in LA. And I surprised him in the guest bedroom, and he was changing. And I noticed that the 2 tattoos in the front of his body were not off. And so I started crying and asked him what happened.
Crying?
Yeah, I was upset. It was a little triggering. And
why was it triggering? I mean, you're an Ivy League educated woman. Did you not say, "Sweetheart, what happened"? Was it too painful
Your Honor,
for
this
you?
was the first time
Did
that
you
we
run
ever...
out of money? Are you okay? How long is it going to be? But you immediately reacted. And you started to cry.
I was
so it was
taken
all
aback.
about you, not about him.
I was taken aback, and I asked him what I saw that the other tattoos were in the process of being removed, and I asked about the front, and he said he decided on his own that he was not going to do that because these 2 women meant a lot to him.
It sounds like this relationship was all about you, though, about what you wanted.
I felt that he had agreed to something that we had both decided we wanted a fresh
to make
start.
him agree to something like that. Agree something like make sure you finish your bachelor's degree, maybe. Make sure that you have a full-time job. Make sure that we have health insurance. I'm talking about life principles, things that really matter in a relationship. I can see you, but even none of those are a condition on marriage. So do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
That your reaction was you walk in, you explode, you cry, blah, blah, blah. Oh, poor me, poor me. Samuel has 2 tattoos.
I was visibly upset.
See, this is the thing, that women get so deep in their freaking emotions that it stops them from understanding other people. These are 2 women that meant a lot to me. Okay, now I'm in the picture. She should just think about, all right, I just got to create new memories for my man and make him forget these other women. But women have this idea that once I got this man, I must control his every freaking thought. And if he's looking at these other names on his body, I cannot have him completely. I need control. And this is the mentality that women have. Whether it's conscious or unconscious, she needs to know that she is in control. She is the only thing that he is allowed to think about. I got you. You don't think about any other woman. But this is a reality check for women. They are not at the top of every man's mind. Unfortunately, this is very blatantly in front of her. But every man knows that if she's had men before him, that he is not always at the top of her mind. We all know that. Well, we red pillars. We know it.
That's it. I'm going to dump him.
No, I was visibly upset. I didn't want to make a scene. In fact, we carried on with the Sangeet that night, and I was processing what I had seen, and mainly...
It's not like he was kissing another girl. You knew he had tattoos.
He basically told me these women meant a very significant part of his life, and he refused to take them off.
But you can't erase his past.
I wasn't trying to erase his past, Your Honor. I was trying to get him to...
This was the night that she turned cold, and it was very embarrassing because this was part of our celebration for our wedding. All of our friends and family were there, and she just turned cold. And
did you decide at that moment you weren't getting married to him?
I felt hurt by it, and I felt like I couldn't move forward with the wedding, and so I told my parents...
And so the next day, her father called my father to cancel the wedding.
Her father called, broke up the marriage, then that was it?
Yes, well... the thing with Indian weddings is that there are a lot of people involved, and everybody travels from far and wide to come there. So on such a short notice, having a wedding canceled is extremely humiliating and embarrassing.
Did you guys try? Did you try to tell her, I still want to marry you?
No,
This is no big deal?
After what she did, I got to see her true colors, and I did not.
So she called it off, and you're like, okay.
She called it off, and then I realized.
Blessing in disguise.
I felt upset that she couldn't recognize the effort that I had made to remove those tattoos.
I'm upset for you because you're adorable. I mean, come on, look at him. Why should Sunil, number one, pay the full amount if it was you two getting married, and two, why should he pay anything if you're the one who technically breached the contract?
I didn't breach the contract, Your Honor.
You called off the wedding.
I called off the wedding, but the agreement we had was that he would take the tattoos off before the wedding.
But remember, we already established that that's not a condition of a wedding. That's not. So you decided to break off the wedding.
I decided I couldn't trust him. I thought it was a breach of my trust. I felt betrayed.
You didn't even give him a chance to explain. That's a breach of trust.
Well, I did try to contact him. I did try to contact him to discuss the deposit, and he blocked me.
All right. So then I understand you are now engaged?
We know what this is about, guys. We know exactly what this is about. She tried a power play. I'm going to take control. I'm going to call it off because I'm an Ivy League graduate. I'm a PhD. I am worth it. I am the queen. I am this. I could just see it. She thinks that she's the hot shit, and this man should have been happy to be with a 35-year-old woman, highly educated woman. And he now has another fiance. She's butthurt. He blocked her after she pulled that stunt. She didn't want to cancel the wedding. She wanted him to submit and beg for her back. This was her way of thinking, okay, if he's begging for me back, I get him to remove those tattoos. I have ultimate control now. He didn't fall into that. He saw her true colors. I am so happy that he saw this. So technically he called her bluff and blocked her ass. Now she's butthurt and she wants to freaking make him pay because how dare he finds another woman so quickly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Asha? Okay. So then how did you meet Asha so quickly afterwards? Because I was going to set you up with my daughter.
Sorry,
Asha.
I'm happily with Asha. We've been together for a few months now. I met Asha about a month after the engagement broke up. And the difference here is that now we're actually dating in person.
Oh,
which was
good.
Unlike any other relationship before.
And your parents are okay with that?
Yes.
They're super conservative?
Yes, because they've noticed now...
the difference.
The difference.
You okay with the tattoos?
Yes, I am. I think that your past relationships, your past moments, they make you who you are. And those tattoos, those girls, they made him who he is, the man that I love.
I understand one of them in your statement. One was a young lady who passed away?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, so I had 2 tattoos left out of the ones that Nirali saw. One of them was my first girlfriend, Shivani. Mm-hmm. Which is special to anybody, your first love. And the other one was Mina, who was one of my girlfriends, but she died tragically in a car accident.
Wow. Did you know that?
I did.
Wow, that's sad.
Speaking on the topic of tattoos, now I've gotten Asha's name tattooed on my body as well. Because she thought that it was fitting to...
I hope you guys get married.
I actually got the biggest tattoo, and it's right over his heart. I think you should show it. I think you should show everyone. Is that okay,
then I'm going to be mad I can't set him up with my daughter.
I think you should see it, Your Honor.
See. So it doesn't bother you at all, Asha, that you have...
No, it doesn't, because...
And your parents, are they super conservative too?
My parents are a little conservative as well, but they've allowed me to date him.
Oh my God, and you got it in color too.
I know. It's blue, my favorite color.
Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. I'm not into tattoos, but I do think they're beautiful. So good for you. Congratulations. Anything else you'd like to say, Ms. Joshi?
I, felt that I went into this process with an open heart, and I was very excited to meet Sunil, and I was in love with him. In fact, I'm having a hard time processing all this. I've been depressed for months, and to see him move on so quickly.
There it is. There it is. Oh, God, I could read this shit like a book. That is what's bothering her. That's why they're in court right now. This man moved on 1 month after, and she's butthurt. He blocked her ass, and he found someone else that accepts him for who he is, and she is butthurt about that, and he has to pay. That's it.
It's a little startling to me.
Well, when you've been hurt so badly by someone like you, it's easier to move on that way, I would think.
Essentially, Ms. Joshua, you're suing Sunil for, really his family too, for the full amount of the deposit that you paid or your family paid. And unfortunately, the contract was for you guys to get married. So it's kind of like in some states, the ring. Who keeps the ring? Some say, you know, if you break off the marriage, you get your property back. Say no. Some, you know, it's a condition. When you just broke the marriage. I mean, you broke the contract. You were going to get married. You're the one who basically said, I'm out. You didn't even give him a chance to even try to talk to you or to remedy the situation. So you're the one who basically said, I no longer want to get married. So it's not fair to make him pay for that because you broke off the wedding and your parents agreed. So based on the evidence, unfortunately, I cannot grant your claim of $9,200, okay? Good luck to you all.
Judge Perez has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been denied.
I have to agree with the judge. She's the one that broke off the freaking engagement. And now she wants the money back because she broke it off. Make that shit make sense. Just doesn't. My friends, I hope you enjoyed this one. This was a bit of entertainment for you all, just to break things up. Because sometimes, you know, my content gets a little deep, heavy. So my friends, listen, like this video on the way out. Let's have a discussion on arranged marriages in the comment section. For those of you that are following me from India, I would love to hear what you guys think about arranged marriages versus love marriages. And what's the dating climate like in India right now? Okay. And of course, if you guys have any videos from India, any podcasts that's in English that I can also feature on my channel, that I can actually critique or I can comment on my channel, by all means, send it to me. Okay? So my friends, until tomorrow, remember, whenever in doubt, always ask an older man. I'll see you soon. Cheers.